Good afternoon, Encik Yohanes and Architect Asli. Ladies and gentlemen, no matter where you are, I hope you are well. Welcome to the Beyond Architecture Roundtable discussion session, organized by Malaysia Architecture Students Alliance, MASA, and supported by the PAM Education Committee. Studying architecture does not mean that you can only be an architect. It's more than just building. It's a culture, a mindset, a character. One can learn to be an architect, but an architect does not define his or her own path while pursuing dreams and passion, while others may discover new passion along the journey. There's always a choice to make. Studying architecture is not just about destination, it's about the journey and the experience one gets along the way. Let's deliberate about our passion and dreams and how architecture preparing you for the world has to offer in the upcoming forum session. Your career choices are wider and crazier than you can imagine. My name is Vinci Laikai, a MASA representative and a Part 1 graduate. I'll be your co-moderator for today. First of all, I would like to thank Archidex 2021 for giving us this opportunity to conduct this session. We are pleased to have this collaboration with Archidex. To begin with, let's welcome our moderator, Architect Muhammad Asli Muhammad Jamil. Architect Asli joined Faculty of Design and Architecture, University Putra Malaysia in 2016 as a lecturer and has a professional architect with a Bachelor of Architecture with 14 years of experience in JKR Malaysia and the industry. He's the founder of Asli Jamil Architect, Perunding Asli Jamil, Managing Director SHR Architect Sendirian Berhad, and CITB Panel of Architecture Site Supervisor. The quest of knowledge and research continue with the production of specialized furniture design and build. It has also been recognized when the architecture and furniture design was published in newspaper and television to share the innovation throughout the nation, and also granted IP for industrial design at the same time. Sharing knowledge and expertise was expanded to the industry such as CIDB, PAM, BEAR, LAB, JKR Malaysia, and other universities. While serving the university and nation, he pursued a self-funded master in UiTM and completed the studies in year 2020. He has a PhD in year 2021 and ongoing studies to equip himself as a researcher. Hi, Architect Asli. How are you today?
Hi, Vinci.
Hi. All right, cool. I will pass the floor to you now.
Okay, thank you, Vinci, for the introduction. Okay, hi all. How are you all? Okay, especially to our brother here, Mr. Yohanes. Okay, so let me brief a bit about our brother here. Okay, I'm Architect Azli, and together with us we have the spotlight of the day, Encik Yohanes, with a handsome look there. All right. Okay, he has more 20 years of experience in the business event industry. Okay, he is one of the pioneers in CIS Network Sdn Bhd, been involved in numerous international and domestic events. He is the head of project for Archidex, which is today, and ITEX, two signature exhibitions for CIS, and currently holding a position as a director of projects and operation. An active member of Malaysian Association of Convention and Exhibition Organizers, MESIOS. He provides useful and usable information of all aspects of event management, laced with real-life example. A responsible, dedicated, and hands-on approach are fundamental components of his work. A strategic thinker who is able to look beyond the traditional communication territories. He is graduated with Bachelor of Science, Honors in Architecture from University Malaya, guys, 1999. And he is also a certified PAM, Professional Exhibition Management. Wow, good one. Trainer by MESIOS since 2016 to raise professionalism, service quality, and operational standards of the exhibition industry in Malaysia. To help those involved in the exhibition, operational standard of the exhibition industry in Malaysia, and the field of their knowledge, skill, and understanding on basic management technique. To date, He has conducted a few sessions of professional exhibition management program organized by Messios in collaboration with Singapore Association and Convention and Exhibition Organizer, including the Tribe Innovation Masterclass in Kuching. He also a Messios Education and Training Subcommittee members and Messios CSR, Sustainability and Safety Subcommittee member. Apart from that, he is in editorial board for the Invention Asia magazine, wholly devoted for the latest trend in technology and new findings in science, a co-publication of CIS and Malaysian Invention and Design Society, MINDS. He was appointed as Jawatan Kuasa Teknikal Penilaian Jabatan Pembangunan Kemahiran in creating in level 4 and level 5 syllabus for NOS Event Management Professional course in 2016. So guys, sit back and relax. We will have a Q&A session afterwards. Okay, wait. But if you have any question during the sharing, feel free to type down in the chat box. Okay, you can type down there. Okay, so we can attend to them at the end of the sharing. Now, Encik Yohanis, we pass the floor to you. Please introduce your good self, Encik Yohanis.
Okay, thank you for the kind introduction, Architect Azli. Very kind of Cik Azli to read out the profile. Before I begin, allow me to give a special shout out to my lecturers, Puan Ati, Dr. Nurafida, Prof. Yahya, Cik Rahmat, Prof. Woods, Puan Mastura, and not forgetting Cik Naziati. So these are my lecturers when I was studying in UM, graduated in 1999. And of course, special shout out to my boss, current boss, the principal and the president of CIS, Dr. Vincent Lim, and my fellow colleagues at CIS. Without them, I wouldn't be at where I am today. Okay. As per what Architect Azli have mentioned, I graduated from University of Malaya in 1999 in the architecture course, part 1. Prior to that, I was enrolled in the Center of Foundation Studies in Science in University of Malaya for 2 years. For those who are familiar, it is famously known as Asasi Science, right? And I did my internship at Architects Urbanisma Sdn Bhd, Cik Hafiz, in the year 1998. And I remember the project that I was handling at that time is the Putrajaya Komplek Kerajaan facility at that time. So yeah, so that's the background of, that's my education background. As for the current profession, currently I'm the project director in a company called CIS. We are the exhibition organizer of local and international events. And some of the events that Architect Azli have mentioned just now, one of it is Archidex. I'm sure as architecture student, you guys know what Archidex is, the Architecture, Interior Design and Building Exhibition, which is held virtually, ongoing now in the digital platform, right? And hopefully, God's willing, next year we're going to do it physically in KLCC. Okay, apart from that, CIS also the organizer of ITEX, the International Technology Exhibition, which we jointly organize with MINDS, Malaysian Institution of Design Society. And currently, we have just concluded Home Deck, which is another exhibition that we do here in KLCC. Yeah, that's pretty much it about the what I am doing now at CIS. And I joined the company in the year 1999, right after I graduated. So practically, this is my first job. And ever since, it's been 22 years since I joined the company. So that's what it meant by I'm one of the pioneers in the company. I'm one of the first few to join the company. I think that there are a few other of my colleagues who still together with us in CIS. I joined the company as junior exec, and yeah, currently I'm the project director for the exhibitions, some exhibitions. Yes. So.
Okay, thank you, Cik Yohanis, for the brief introduction. Yeah, so means Cik Yohanis been in this business right after he graduated until now and continue the success business. Yeah. Okay, as usual, maybe okay, I also want to ask you, can you describe what are your current role, and can you pick some example and relation to knowledge in architecture? Does it relate or not? Your current job with architecture.
Okay. First of all, I'm blessed with the direction of the company, which is to organize an architecture exhibition, which is pretty much related to my education background. And in the company, when I joined CIS, I was assigned as part of the operational team. So one of the things that I uh, you know teach my colleague is to use AutoCAD, for example, and knowing how to use AutoCAD is a huge advantage in this industry because we do not have to rely to the contractors all the time. So the organizer themselves can plan the layout of the exhibition according to the requirement, and changes can be made almost instantly from the office. So it is a huge advantage that we are still doing it until today. And I don't know what's the practice in other organizer company, but it is good for the operational team to know AutoCAD and to produce your own layout plan. And of course, coming from the architecture background, we in exhibition industry we pretty much deal with special design booth. So in terms of structural integrity, in terms of um, the beauty of booth, so that can be advised, from my side, based from the background that I have. And of course, terminologies like double volume, void, facade, these are important elements that you need to know when dealing with the special design booth. Of course, space requirement is also an important element in organizing an exhibition, because we need every space count when you manage an exhibition, because it's cost to the company. So it is best to optimize the space as optimized as possible. As for the skills required to organize an event or to manage, I think it is. It's not rocket science. To a certain extent, every one of us have managed our own event, at least a birthday party, for example. But the challenge is to monetize it. How do you make money out of it? So you all know what are the skills required to manage an event: problem solving, crisis management. And project management is something that we learn in architecture school. So it helps me to plan for the exhibition, as well as the one that I mentioned earlier, the human flow, the space requirement of an exhibition. So those are the skills required to manage an event. And being an architecture student, we were taught to be observant and to look at signages, to look at exit points at airport, for example, or at other public areas. So those are the things that can be implemented in exhibition. And I think those are the skills that's required to organize a successful event. So to answer Architect Archie's question, what I'm doing now, the nature of the exhibition itself is pretty much related to my background, which is Archidex. So when I first joined CIS in 1999, it was the vision of the president, Dr. Vincent, to organize a building, the architecture and interior design exhibition. So I was lucky and blessed to be part of that journey until today.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Encik Yohanis. So I believe it's actually an advantage for one have that architect backgrounds to become a event manager, and it's also affect everything, especially the project management part. Okay, I believe that is the most important part, to manage the project and manage the event. Yeah, Encik Yohanis, maybe I also want to ask why when is your turning point? When do you decide not to become an architect at all? Or is your dream before? Or at the middle of the way, okay, I changed my mind, okay, then do these event management things.
Okay, that's a tough question, because to me it depends on every individual. Some people know what they want to do from the beginning. You know, some people need to experience it first, then only they know. Some people until now, they don't know what they're doing. I have a friend who graduated in science computer, studied for 5 years, worked in MIMOS for 2 years, and studied medicine and become a doctor today. So, you know, career education mismatch is a global issue, which depends pretty much on every individual. But as for me, I can ask the same question to architect actually. When do you know that you want to become an architect? You know, do you know from the beginning, from primary school, that you want to become an architect? I can ask the same questions. But as for me, I'll share with you my timeline. When I finished SPM in the year 93, I enrolled myself to Center of Foundation Studies in UM in the year 93. At that time, architecture course doesn't even exist. So pretty safe to say that I do not know that I'm going to do architecture, even when I enrolled myself to UM. And then I finished that foundation year in 96. It was the second year UM enroll architecture student in UM. So I'm the second batch. So I thought, okay, I like to draw. I enjoy drawing. I think I can draw well, and I think I'm quite creative. So yeah, why not give it a shot? So I joined. I applied myself to become an architecture student, and thank God I was accepted. We have to go through a series of interviews to be enrolled. And I graduated in the year 1999, and in the year 1998, I went for an internship. So the internship provides you a real working environment and a glimpse of what the industry is. So then I realized that, you know, studying architecture and being an architect is a two different thing, you know. The body of knowledge in architecture ideally turns you to become an architect, but not everyone is blessed with that. You know, we don't live in a perfect world. Not everything is ideal. So for architect Azli, he's one of the lucky person who study architecture and become an architect until today. And so I realized that, you know, okay, study architecture and being an architect is a two different thing. Trying to benefit from what I've learned and try not to waste it, I pivot myself to the exhibition industry, and hopefully I could still utilize the knowledge that I learned from the architecture school. It's like this. You know, when you're baking a cake, you had the idea to bake a cake, so you bought yourself flour, egg, sugar, butter. I presume that's the ingredient. So along the way, you realize that, oh, it's too complicated. The recipe is too complicated. So what do? You can throw away the ingredient and buy new ingredient and produce something else, or you can do something else and not the cake, for example. So it depends on each individual and choice of what do you guys think suits you most. Yeah. And I think what I'm doing now suits me most because I like the adventure and the challenges that it offers. For every exhibition, we face with different difficulties and challenges. We face with different client and human behavior. So I kind of like that dynamics. And I myself is a very social person, and you know, like events. Um, yeah, so that's why I'm still here. Apart from I'm a loyalist, that's why I'm still here for the past 22 years. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Great exposure. Okay, I believe during our students, so we have the event like Aki Night, okay, Aki Day. So that also affect maybe Cik Yohanis and as a project manager for this event. Okay, Cik Yohanis, I also have a friend. So if you ask me, do I want to be an architect? I think I don't know. During my student time, I don't know. I'm going to be architect or not. So it's actually I just follow the flow. Okay. During that time I study, and then I think okay, why not study for part 3, and then I got part 3. I became an architect now. Okay. So but now the path is already been here. You can join any classes to become an architect. During those time we don't have that. Okay. Okay, next year, Johannes. How do you survive your architectures during your student time? Is it difficult, or is it the most challenging course in the university? So I heard that architecture is the worst course in university. Is it true? Is it hard at all?
If you ask me, it is one of the most challenging course. It is one of the most challenging course because of the tight deadlines that we. I'm sure most students here are more familiar with that. You know, tight deadlines, and it's costly. You know, to produce model, to produce presentation, you have to come up with a, you know, in order for you to produce a good presentation, that you need to spend, you know, and sleepless nights. Apart from that, it's not just about uh, designing something. You have to also cope with other subjects: history, structure, environmental physics, material, so CAD, AutoCAD. So to me, yeah, it is a very challenging course to pursue. But in order for you to finish your study, I would say that it takes a lot of passion, and you must really like studying architecture in order to finish it. You know, as I said, the studying architecture and being an architect is a two different thing. You can finish, you have to finish your study in architecture, then not necessarily you become an architect. You can be whatever you want. This is to advise those who are studying architecture now to not quit. You know, it is not easy. It is one of the most challenging, but you know, you're halfway there. Just finish your study, you know, because in the future there are many other interesting things that's happening. Like for example, in IT, there's bug bounty, white collar hacker, you know. So you can utilize your knowledge in architecture and be whatever you want after that. But just finish your study and enjoy the journey as much as you can. That's my advice to the student who's listening to this. I Yeah, I agree with architect Azli, and most of the students here can also agree or not agree with me that architecture is one of the most challenging and difficult course to study.
Yeah, I can see most of the participants here agreed with that. Okay, they all do like that. So they all agreed. So yes, I think the keyword of from Cik Yohanis is actually to enjoy the study. Okay, when we enjoy, I think that the hardest thing is going to be easy as easy part. So just the keyword is just enjoy, just finish. Like myself during my master, I'm also teaching at the same time. I have master at the night time until 6 p.m. until 1 p.m. So I just enjoy and just finish, just go ahead and go do just part and just within 1.5 years, just finish my master. Just go ahead, just finish the study. So the keyword here is enjoy, guy. All right. So yeah, Cik Yohanis, what do you think is it's about career? Is it how do you think about education mismatch? So what is your opinion?
Okay. As I mentioned earlier, uh, career education mismatch is a universal issue. It happens everywhere, and from where I read, between 50 to 55% bachelor degree and diploma holders do not practice what they learn. This is a fact that I read in Malaysia, yeah? In Malaysia, and and um, yeah. But studying architecture enables you to do other things apart from being an architect. Like for example, um, a contractor, you know, which is pretty much related to architecture, or a 3D designer and animation designer for video, because you guys learn AutoCAD and 3D Max. So those are the things that you can consider when you graduated, if you decide not to become an architect. Of course, other things that's very directly related to architecture, like landscape, IT, urban planner, and designer. So those are the choices of career that you can choose. Apart from that, you can be like myself, an event architect. we can, you guys can plan. I'm sure you guys are exposed to events in architecture school, and if you can monetize from it, why not? It is a career, it's a good career choice. I can. And a photographer, because you guys are exposed to beautiful things, beautiful building. I have friends who's in London right now. Shout out to you, Shia. And she's taking photograph of nice buildings in London. She becomes the ambassador of Canon. A photographer is a good profession to pivot, if I may. A politician, because day in day out, you guys were trained to present, and defend your ideas. Within the current parameters of problems. So being a politician is not a bad career choice. Okay, a writer or an entrepreneur, and I'm sure Architect Azli can add on to this list. There are many other things that's related. Of course, you can't be doctors or programmer because those are technical career choice, can. So, but something else that's related to architecture, like for example, the new. Have you guys heard of facade specialists? Yeah. So there are many new business ideas and professions that can be ventured and not limited to just architect that you guys can consider. Doesn't mean that studying architecture you have to become an architect. Ideally, you should be an architect because that's what you train and study for. But do not limit yourself to that. There are many other things that you can do. To me, studying architecture provides you the best platform to survive in life. I think you were trained to defend your ideas. You were trained to work in a team. You guys were trained to look at things differently, see things from different angle. So yeah, that's my advice to the student. Pursue your dreams, do whatever you guys dream, and hopefully it will be a success and you can relate back to what you guys study so that it doesn't go to waste. Yeah.
Yeah, good advice. So if you can survive architecture, you can survive the world. I can quote that from Cik Yohanis. So if you can survive architecture, no matter how semester, extend or whatever, if you can survive, nothing else can kill you. Okay. All right. So yeah, Cik Yohanis, what are the qualities in architecture studies that actually significant for career development? What type of qualities that you think that requires?
Oh, a lot, actually a lot. I can give endless list of qualities architecture students have. Um, what they were trained for until they graduate. For example, some of the points I've mentioned earlier, but technically all architecture students were trained to be creative. They look things from many perspectives. They look at biji getah and becomes a building. They look at rebung, it becomes menara rebung. That kind of thing. And architecture students were trained to look at things differently. So this is one of the quality that you guys have and can be polished and pursued to other career. Apart from that, you guys make things differently. You guys think from the practicality and the ergonomical of things. For example, when I look at the layout plan, it is important to see things from the logical point of view, whether the walkway is too big or too small and whatnot. And just for your information, I was part of the subcommittee in Mashos to produce an SOP for the business events in order for us to be reopened today. So these are the kind of advice that I could chip in for the SOP. And then the other thing is architecture students were trained to build something to live forever, to leave behind a legacy. So think big. Look things at the bigger picture from the top. Architecture students do not just build building, but they look at the surroundings. They look at where the sun rises, where the sun sets, what's the social activities surrounding that building. So you guys were trained to look at things from higher up. So it is a quality that you should have when you pursue your career. Apart from that, architecture students, I noticed that you guys are observant. You look at signages, you look at buildings, and try to imitate it in your design. So being observant is a very important aspect in career. You know, problem solving. Being an architect, you guys were given sets of problem, and you guys are supposed to work the solution within that parameters. Budget parameters, weather, uh, the numbers of people that's living in that place, the flow of human, and so on. So problem solving is something that you guys were trained for while studying architecture. Um, Apart from that, yeah, a good presenter, because you guys present something based on your ideas and based on your concept and defend it, you know, to your lecturers. Apart from that, not just any problem, but a problem that's practical, a problem that's workable. You know, the solution that you provide, you guys were trained to solve a problem within a specific time of frame and within specific parameters. So that is something that that you guys have been trained for during the architecture studies. And of course, to design a building, you guys understand, you put yourself in other people's shoe, right? Because in order to produce a design for a client, you must understand the client. So that it is also related to look things from different angles. So you look things from client's perspective, you look things from a visitor's perspective. So these are the things that it's very important for you to develop. And most importantly, this is something that I read somewhere. Uh, Architecture students were trained to keep the past alive, at the same time shaping the future. You know, you don't just destroy buildings and rebuild the whole thing, but you try to sustain certain quality of things, at the same time shaping what future looks like. So I guess, uh, again, as I said, being an architecture student is the best foundation anyone can have to survive life. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay, good one. So I think I got the keyword now. Architecture student or architecture ex student. We are task oriented. Whatever task given, we will finish it. Okay. When the task given is actually the problem start there. We start to do the problem solving after the task given. So just imagine after you graduated, nothing to do, no task. So what happened to our head? We like shut down, cannot live anymore. Like for me, I need to work. If no task, I did do nothing for 2 weeks, so my head will be cracked. So I'm start looking for tasks. Please give me a task. Okay, architecture student are task oriented. All right, thank you, Cik Yohanis. So Cik Yohanis, so now because we are now in pandemic, so next year we don't know what happened. So what do you think about the future of and potential and challenges in architecture studies?
Um, if you ask me, in my opinion, architecture studies should be redefined, because we are dealing with emerging technologies. We are dealing with the complexities of human behavior. Things will change. Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, and whatnot. Um, and architecture studies will have to broaden its spectrum beyond the traditional consideration that we are familiar with. There are global issues like homelessness. There are new development in self-driving cars. One day, everybody will probably be driving one, and climate change, smart cities, and so on. So architecture study should be able to cater for the changes that the future offers. And I read somewhere, while doing research for today's session, um, will architect exist by 2025 or 2030? Why not? Of course, it will still be exist, because it is a human. It's not just design building, but the study of human heart and mind. which is something that cannot be imitated by computer. And but it will be radically different, I feel. And I'm sure most architecture schools have already incorporated some of the new syllabus, new subjects in their syllabus, like digital architecture, for example. And I think Architect Asli is more qualified to tell about this lah, because he's a lecturer. So yeah, I think the future will be different. And my advice is to equip yourself with the knowledge and with the knowledge in architecture. And Architects Online is one of the best platforms for you to learn all that, with all the talks, all the products that being displayed there. Equip yourself with those things for you to be prepared for the future. So yes, students, that's my advice.
Right, thank you for the advice, Cik Yohanis. Okay, as for me before, I was also wondering, there's so many government building already built in Malaysia. There's so many housing already built in Malaysia. So what left? What left in next 20 years? So I asked my friend as an architect, so what do you think about architecture? He told me that when they are still newborn, the architecture will still be there. Bila ada newborn baby, we need a house. So architect will be needed still. So believe in that, guys. So architecture will still exist until the end of the day. All right. So now I think the participant can't wait to ask. I think there are some raised hand. So can we open to the floor for any question from the floor? Yes, we have Jason. Okay, Jason, you can I can unmute Jason.
So my name is Jason from UCSI University. Since you found that the turning point of changing the career since 1999 after the internships, so I think that after you go through so many submissions, the deadlines, after going through this degree in architecture, will you regret that you didn't continue to being an architect?
Hi, Jason.
Yeah.
Thanks for the question. If you ask me, no, I have no regret in my decision. All the submissions that I've done, all the presentation that I did in front of the lecturers, external lecturers, those equip me to be what I am today. I do not neglect, I do not forget any of the subjects that I've learned. It's just that the career as architect doesn't suit me personally, I feel. So I think regret is something that no one should have, because it's a decision that you've made. Nobody forced you to do it. Nobody forced me to study architecture. Nobody forced me to quit architecture and become an event organizer. It is your own choice. You have to live with it. It is something that I choose. Certain decisions were made by choice. Certain decisions were made by chance. For example, an economic factor can be a reason why someone don't become what they want to be, because of the lack of opportunity or whatnot. But certain decisions were made by choice, which is why it is important for you to believe in your choice and live with it and try to make the best out of it. When I joined CIS, as I mentioned in the beginning, I did not join CIS as the director of projects. I was a junior exec back 22 years ago. It is important for me. I have to work 2-3 times harder to pursue, to convince, my stakeholders, my boss, that, give me the chance to prove myself, and I'll prove you that I can deliver. So yeah, never regret your choice, and continue your dream to be whatever you want to be. I think that's always when I believe that when you want things so much, the universe will give it to you. This is what I feel. If you really want it, you work so hard for it, the universe will give it to you. That's what I believe.
Yeah, thank you, Cik Yohanis. Okay, Jason, I hope this answer the question. Is it
I
okay,
have-
Jason?
I have another
Oh,
question.
can.
Going to asking for advice because currently I'm studying degree in architecture. So surround my friends, some is a minority, so some of them feel like they after they complete the degree in architecture, they also do want to like be like to continue study architecture, to continue the career path. So what is the advice that you can give for them?
I think I think I've mentioned this earlier that the body of knowledge in architecture studies prepares you to become an architect. Ideally, you become an architect, but not necessarily you be one, because architect as a profession and the study of architecture is a two different thing. It's a two different thing. So you can choose other career than architect, but at the same time, you could benefit from what you have learned in your architecture study for the past few years. Like me, I think the knowledge that I learned in architecture school is very useful to you know to be to do whatever that I'm doing today. I feel so. My advice is to your friend or anyone else for that matter is do not quit architecture study, and then after that you choose what do you want to be. Then after that you decide based on what you have learned and what you can do. Of course, I said earlier you cannot be a doctor lah because you need to be trained to cut people, and you cannot be a programmer because it's very technical, kan? So, but imagine imagine a movie about medicine. Wouldn't it be nicer if the scriptwriter is a doctor who knows the terminology of medical, how hospital works, things like that. So that doctor is not a doctor, but he's a scriptwriter for that movie. So that's another angle that you can look at. What I'm saying is that using whatever that you've learned in architecture school, you can always think of something that probably none of us think of right now to be one. You can produce a movie about buildings. You can be a photographer, you can be a scriptwriter, things like that. That's my advice. Just finish architecture studies, then decide what you want to be.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cik Yohanis, for the advice. Just finish the study. Like for me, I would advise to my student, seek our strength, enhance and strive. Sometimes we don't know what is our strength. So these are the time during the student time to find what is our strength. So sometimes students are good in writing, sometimes good in drawing, sometimes good in 3D, sometimes good in public speaking. So that is where we find our strength and enhance the strength and make money from it. Okay, then we have another question from, we have Najmi.
Hi, Mr. Yohanis. I'm Najmi. I just finished my degree in UPM. I have a follow-up question to the previous question. Let's say a person wants to veer off architecture. Is it enough that is it enough that they only study degree, or do you have to study part 2 first, and then you can decide if you want to go with something else? Like, is degree enough for you to decide if you want to go with other things?
Okay, Leslie can add on lah. Okay, I think if someone pursue part 2, then might as well become an architect. You're 2/3 there already. Part 1 is just 1/3. But if you pursue part 2, you finish part 2, you're 2/3 there already. So my advice is, if you want to pursue part 2, be an architect. But if you think during your internship or industrial training during part 1, you get to mingle with architects and you get to know their industry and a glimpse of what they do every day. You're talking about career, it's something that you wake up every day and do. It's not a 1 week or 2 weeks vacation. This is something that you ask yourself: is this something that you want to wake up to and do every day for the rest of your life? You ask yourself that. If it's okay, then just follow your dreams. But otherwise, I think it is important for you to know early what you want to do or what you want to be. So my advice is, if you feel that you do not want to pursue architect, might as well, after a degree, straight away look for other options that's related to what you have studied. Yeah, that's my advice lah. Yeah, but if you want to do part 2, be an architect.
Okay, thank you, Cik Yohanis. Okay, I think part 1, part 2, yeah, is based. That's why as I mentioned earlier, we have to know what is our strength. If you think your strength is mainly your heart is at least 70% to architecture, then proceed to part 2. But still, if in architecture, but if you want, there are 2 things in career. One is working with others. One is become entrepreneur. If you want to become entrepreneur, part 1 will do. Okay, then we our own self create the business. We create the money. So no need to work with others, because if we work with others, we need certificate. So depends. So if you can find your own strength within this time, it's better that you choose now. Okay, but nevertheless, study doesn't have any effect. So tak rugi pun belajar. Okay, no one can take that knowledge from us. All right. So yeah. So then we have another question from Edwin. Yes, Edwin.
Hello. Hi, I am Edwin from UCSI University. I'm currently my final year. So I think a lot of us kind of agree or understand that doing a lot of things, you can do many things like other than architecture, right? And you being right now event organizer, right? So I just want to ask, like, if in our architecture academic studies, right, like let's say assignments, what do you think if we, instead of like doing like typical building assignment, should we like open up maybe like a more looser definition of architecture? Let's say, for example, we can start allowing like event curation as an assignment within the academic.
Okay, thank you, Edwin. This is a very academic question, but I think it was addressed in the last questions by Architect Azli just now. Architecture studies should be redefined, and I feel that the task that should be given to students should encompass more than just designing a building. It should also incorporate current issues, sustainability, climate change. Again, I think Architect Azli would be able to elaborate more lah. But I agree with you that it's not just about the aesthetic, the practicality of a building that should be a focus for the future. It should be redefined. It should, because I think architect as a profession will be radically different from today. I give you an example. A lecturer that I know, who's teaching IT, for example, in a university. The students, the foundation students knows how to do website and probably have more followers in Twitter and Instagram. You want to teach them how to do website, right? So it's I think that the academician's role should be more towards directing the student towards their passion, identify the passion, and direct them to the right direction to ensure that after they graduate, they will still have other opportunities apart from become what they should. So and in order to do that, I guess the task and the assignment that's given to the student should be versatile enough, and you know what I mean, should be different than the conventional way of marking. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think a good point from Edwin. So I will take note that as a lecturer. So I will pass that note to my fellow lecturers in the universities. So yeah, sometimes we don't need to teach students. Student can nowadays can just study through YouTube. How to become an architect in 5 minutes. Ada buku tu. You can find that. How to become an architect within one hand. Ada. I've seen that book. All right. Yeah. Then yes, we have next question from Audrey.
Hi, my name is Audrey. So I completed my Part 1 degree in tailors locally, and I completed my Part 2 in the UK. I've been practicing as a Part 2 architect for 4 years now. So my question is actually for both Encik Yohanes and Architect Azli. So like for Encik Yohanes, he's very lucky that after he graduated, he knows that this architecture career is not for him. But there are a lot of people who they don't know what they want. So after they graduate, it's a natural process to go for masters because they don't know what they want. And after they finish their masters, they still don't know what they want. So it's a natural process to go into architecture firm to practice architect. Then after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they realize that this is not what they want. And then, but they have reached a certain, pay level, they have reached a certain position. Then now only they want to change to another field, and then they are not able to take that decrease in pay and have to relearn everything again. So what advice do you have for people? Because there are actually a lot of people around me with this kind of problems. Yeah. So my question is for both of you.
I'll take first. Yeah. Audrey, hi. Thank you for the question. Okay. When I decide, to decide not to become an architect is one process, but to choose what's your next career path is a different process. Okay. So to me, after I graduated, I pretty much decided, maybe I don't want to pursue architect. Then another problem arises. So what do you want to become? Okay. So this process will come with experience. In my case, after my internship, I noticed that I don't doesn't suit me. It's very structural, part 1, part 2, part 3, very structural. I need things to be fast. And I was lucky that I graduated in the year 1999 because that's the beginning of millennium, the year 2000. So there are a lot of events, millennium countdown here. So I read a lot that digital countdown at multiple places at one go. So and then I tend to be interested in events. And in one article that I read in New Straits Times, back in 1999, on the newspaper, New Straits Times, the event architect of Millennium Countdown. So I thought, okay, there's a thing called event architect. So I dig deeper and know more about the industry, and asking around, what this industry is. I get to know that it is something that can be related to my study. If you are aware of World Expo in Dubai currently, those buildings were designed by architects, but the whole place is an event. It's a business event for tourism. The Malaysia Pavilion is done by Just Casturi, for example. So then I dig deeper than that, then realize that CIS is doing Archidex show next year, so might as well I'll be part of it. So I jumped into that bandwagon. So I was lucky to be given this opportunity, but you have to seek for it, You can't just wait for this opportunity to arise. Once you have decided, you make that first decision. Do you want to become an architect, or you do not want to become an architect? Make that first decision. Can you wake up every day and do this thing every day for the rest of your life, or don't? But even so, even if you become an architect and realize later that you don't belong in this circle, you can always make a U-turn. It's not too late. I have a friend who becomes a doctor at 35. He was a program IT student, worked at BMOS for 2 years, turned back, study medicine for 7 years, and become a doctor today. It's never too late to make a career U-turn, but it's best to realize it early, that you have ample time to fall and get up.
Yep, agree with Cik Yohanis. So like for me, I'm also a lecturer because actually my passion is to share the knowledge. That's why I become a lecturer. Even though I have professional background and also practice my own firm. I have 3 firms now. Okay, but my passion still sharing knowledge. I'm all over Malaysia. That is my passion. Even though I can sign, I still can sign, but still my passion is sharing my knowledge to others. And I think this is the issue for the students, for the graduate members. That's why we share this earlier for you to aware. So the best to choose your career, it is at the age of 30. Okay, then you have ample time to develop your career. So let's say you have already part 2 now. So you must decide, okay, what is your strength? Because even when you have a part 3, doesn't mean become rich, Sometimes people say, wow, part 3 get rich, I get more jobs. Okay, after part 3, actually we have part 4. But not written part 4. Part 4 is actually how to get the job and get paid. Okay, how to get the client, because part 3 is actually technically know how. There's another version is technically know who to get the job and get paid. So still not late to change your career, but the main thing is to know what is your strength. Okay, then you strive for it. We decide and strive for it. Okay, by next, like for me, I will always have my own aim within a short period and long period. So I always have an aim between next 2 years, I want to become who. Between next 5 years, I want to become who. Like now, I want to finish my PhD in next 3 years. Okay, my last aim for last 2 years is to finish my master. So I always have a short-term dream and I strive for it. So sometimes we don't know, we just do it. When you got, example, you have PhD, maybe after that you got an opportunity to make money from it, out of it. So one of it is gain knowledge, and a lot of knowledge out there, like short-term courses, become project manager, construction project manager. Maybe takes 1 or 2 months short courses. You may know, you may not know. After you finish that, there's a new incoming career that you can join to. I'm also actually a safety and health officer, but I don't use that certificate yet. Okay, I think we have another question from Mr. Chiu. Okay, Chiu. Okay, unmute Chiu.
Hello.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Yonis. Hi, AR Azli. So actually, I have more of an opinion than rather a question, because I heard that Encik Yohanis say that if you are an architect, if you can, then it's best you continue and finish all your studies. That one I agree totally. But I'm just I try not to be a pessimist here, but there are certain cases, just talking about extreme cases, where the student really feel like they don't really belong in the course, architecture course, the journey. And then sometimes I think as a lecturer or even students, we must give them the bravery and also some sort of like societal approval. Let's say like, okay, if you don't feel like it is not work, you really cannot cope with it, then you can quit. Because I think we cannot deny the fact that in professional courses, especially architecture, we can see suicide cases in almost every school. We can see. So I mean, if you give it to me, I prefer someone change their course than jump off the building. So that's just my personal opinion. So I'm just speaking from my own experience. I know I'm young, 25. I'm now a real estate agent, and I have a master's in architecture, actually from Australia. So what I realize is when I go and talk to people, even Malaysian, they say they struggle with like some, I know they are deep in neuroticism, so they struggle with depression or anxiety. And then I say like, hey, you guys can take one break a year and then you come back and study, it's okay. But then they think like, oh, people will laugh at me and all that. So I think part of it, we must give bravery to these people so that they don't quit on their life. It's not just quit on career, it's quit on their life. So that is one of the things I'm quite concerned also lah. And then also just to relay a very short story. Before I go for my master, right, I was in the SEM 6 of my final year in my architecture. And then, I mean, this is also part of why suddenly I go and change my career is because during the last final presentation, you imagine like the big SEM 6, the last year one, we have one student, then he actually, his work to me is very fantastic, very good. But then one of the tutors said that he will never achieve anything in life like that, And then he's like, and then I see him like very sad, and then I also feel very sad for him. And then I went for my master's, right? And then I come back, and then the guy who said the teacher told him he had no chance at all, he's almost the same age as me. He buy two property already. And then all of us we are struggling with wage stagnation, with our wages not rising up to the inflation rates of the country, and then stagnation for 20 years of salary. We are facing all that kind of issues. And then this guy's like, wow, this guy like targeted like a stupid guy, but actually he kind of made it. So for me, I think as a community, all of us, whether we continue architecture or not, we must also give bravery and acceptance to people who try to be different, or at least they just try to do something else. I mean, that's just my opinion. It's not like a question, but it's more of an opinion. So I want to thank Mr. Johannes and ARSD for having this chance to share with us. This issue also can inspire all the younger people to know there's another way. It's okay, it's okay to try something else. So thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Chu. Yeah, it's okay not to be okay. Okay. Thank you, Chu. The sentiment that you shared, I had it when I pivot my career. When I quit, not to say quit when I pursue other career path, I had that sentiment. What would people say? What would why you don't get a job? Is it you cannot find an architecture job? That's why you become this. Is it? So those are the sentiments that you have, and you scared. But yeah, it is like what you said. You use the word bravery many times. It is important for, I think, academician to how do I say this, to direct students to their passion, and not just limit them to become an architect. Okay, this is my feeling. We should be more open towards other openings, towards other paths, instead of just have a fixed mindset. When you study architecture, you become an architect. Yeah, that shouldn't be the case in the current year, because there are many other opportunities that's available for architecture students and be successful in career. And Chu, I think as a real estate agent, it is a good career choice. I think now properties are in demand, I think, at this time. And being an architecture student, I'm sure you're good at presenting and selling, because you have been selling your ideas based on piece of paper, based on ideas and vision. Architecture students are visionary. Because most of the times when you are given problems, and I think architects actually can agree to this, even clients, they do not know what they want, and it is up to you to make it happen. You are the visionary of things. You will train yourself to become a visionary, and based on these problems that given to you, you turn it into a reality. You sell your ideas. You convince people to buy it. When people don't like it, you debate based on facts and things. And so what I'm trying to say is, I think for architecture students, it is important for them to be guided towards the passion that they have, instead of just have a fixed mindset to become an architect. Ideally, they should be an architect, but there are other opportunities out there for you to venture. Thank you, Chu.
Okay, thank you, Chu, for your option and ideas. Actually, I want to share as a lecturer. So, actually, we as lecturer, we actually interview students. That's why we interview students before they entering the architecture course. And you don't believe it. Actually, when we ask some of the students, first choice is architecture. Second choice become doctor. Then we ask the candidates, who asked you to join architecture? Who asked you to join doctor? And they answer that, oh, actually, my mother asked me to take architecture. My father asked me to take as a doctor. So and then we ask them, which one that you wanted to actually. So that is the first filter during the student before they entering a school. Okay. I like you about your words of wisdom, which is motivation. Actually, as a tutor or lecturer or as a sifu, there's a two type of motivation. That what happens to your friend is actually the negative motivation. So I give you example, the positive words of motivation. Okay, as a teacher, we say that, okay, I believe in you. You can be success one day. That is positive. But sometimes people are more affected at the negative one. Example of the negative one, I don't believe you can do it. You won't succeed. So sometimes that negative motivation would make us stronger. So you choose. So sometimes we choose. We choose. We want the negative or the positive motivation. All right. Okay. Then yeah, also a lot of my friends is actually doesn't become an architect, become a sculptor, become a guitarist. My ex-boss, AR architect, is actually, I don't want to mention his name. His passion is guitarist. He got his guitar system is all inside his office, but he's doing his practice also. But the 70% is guitarist, also playing guitars in the TV. So part-time is architecture, full-time guitarist. All right. Then we have another question from Encik Ahmad Arif.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. Can you guys hear me clearly? Or is it muffled?
Yeah, it's okay.
Is it okay?
All right.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Assalamualaikum, Encik Yohanis and also Azul, also the rest of the panel. Hi. Good afternoon, I think. This is afternoon, it's already 4 p.m. So I guess it's good evening. Okay, so here, I think it's something relating to Chiu also, how he said about trying to give an opinion. And I kind of want to get your opinion, both Encik Azli and also Encik Yohanis and also Azli. Your opinion on this, okay? Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Encik Yohanis said that he sort of had an epiphany after taking up the internship. Then did he see, and then did he decide, okay, you know what, after the internship, I think I'm not going to pursue this line of work actually. So I'm sort of in the same space right now. Sorry if I didn't introduce myself. I'm from UiTM Sri Iskandar. I'm in my semester 7, so I'm actually in my final year. So my last semester will be semester 8. Then I'll be graduating part 1. So so basically going back to the question, because like Encik Yohanis said, during his internship, he had the epiphany. Same thing for me, I think. I wanted to ask both of your opinions. What are your opinions on student preparedness? Because we have to agree, and I think almost everybody can agree, that the syllabuses taught in the universities and the real world are two very, very big different things. Because the syllabuses taught in the university, for example, let's say history, construction technology, all these like subjects. There's a lot of subjects, right? All of these things, when we go out in the real world, or suddenly it's like, oh God, what have I been doing for the past 3 years? Same thing went for me. What have I been doing for the past 3 years? What have I been learning? Suddenly, when I get thrown into this firm, it's like, oh my God, there's so many things to do in such a short time. And then I think we can also agree that that is why there's a lot of people, a lot of students, even my friends included, that they come to me and say, hey, you know what? I think I managed to learn in my internship, even though it's for 6 months, I managed to learn more than I have done for 3 years in my university. I think we can see that there's a big question in that particular problem, right? And I wanted to ask your opinions. What are your opinions on the syllabuses taught in universities? And because should academicians or should the tutors teach the students to go in the direction, like should they teach what are actually the elements needed in the real world, instead of going on like these subjects that are compulsory in universities, right? Like construction, history, whatever, right? Should the tutors, should the academicians, their roles, what are your opinions on them? Should they be teaching what are we supposed to be doing in the real world, so that when students, when come time to go internships, when come time they graduate and want to work, they are prepared for the real world? And so what are your opinions, both of you guys? I wanted to ask that. Thank you.
Thank you, Arif, for the question. And congrats for surviving 7 parts. One semester to go before
Thank you.
graduate. It's not an easy course, I know, but congrats. As I've said earlier, the body of knowledge in architecture, the study of architecture, and the profession, architect profession, is a two different thing. That's why when you go into the real world, you realize that, oh, okay, this is different. Yes, you have the necessity, you have the foundation of knowledge to become an architect, but it is not what you think it is. Being an architect, I think Architect Azli can elaborate further, is more towards human management, more towards it's more business, it's more business, and study architecture is very academic. I do not wish to influence anyone not to become an architect. As I said earlier, it is in everyone's. It's up to each individual. It's best that you become an architect because you have gone through 7 parts until today. But if you feel that you don't belong in that industry, it is not too late to pivot to a different career path. And to answer your second question, what I feel the syllabus should be added to the students so that they are more prepared in the real world is to incorporate current development, to take note of all the SDGs, homelessness, the climate change, the economy of things, so that the knowledge that you have as architecture student can be utilized in other things as well. And there are many things now that's available that you should learn as a student so that you become more relevant when you graduated. Like, for example, the emerging of technologies, the overpopulated. What are the things that should be learned and should be taught in architecture school in order for you to be relevant when you graduated? And maybe architecture can be diversified into a more niche profession like digital architecture or other things. So this is just my thought, because at the moment, from my understanding maybe Architect Azli can negate me later. The syllabus is based on the traditional how architect is. It is a traditional way of learning architecture. This is what I think. It's more studio based. It is more, when I was a student, it's a 7 credit hour. I think it is still now. Maybe that should be looked into so that more emphasis can be given towards other things instead of just designing building. Maybe emphasis could be given to the selection of material. Emphasis could be given to the sustainability of a building and things like that instead of just the design. Okay, Ashley, feel free to.
Oh, it's okay. Thanks. Okay, thanks, Yanis. And thanks for the question from J. Ahmad Arif. Okay, yeah, true. Actually, as a lecturer also, I'm also a student that you all before. And we also think of, this lecturer are teaching the same thing as I learned last 20 years. Why doesn't change? It's also happened to me as a lecturer, not as a student. Okay, I'm a student also. I'm a lecturer now. Yeah, it's actually we have to abide to so many laws. We have to abide with Lembaga Architect Malaysia requirement, because Lembaga Architect comes every 5 years to accredit each of university that want to be accredited, part 1, part 2. Number 1, we have to follow the rules of Lembaga Architect Malaysia. Number two, we have to follow the rules of university. Each university have different requirement. Okay, example UITM, a lot of syllabus, a lot of subjects. I'm from UITM also. I'm alumni from Siapa. I graduated from UITM Perak. Yeah, each university have their own requirement. Okay, back to your question about the subject. Does it related or not to the workplace or during our working time? Actually, I want to revert on that. Example, we have history of architecture. Where do we use it? Okay, actually, we did use this history of architecture when we propose a township example. So we need to have the precedent study of the site. So example, the site in Johor Bahru. So we need to study the feasibility of Johor Bahru. Okay, not to just copy paste from actually example London. I just copy paste London architecture. I put in Johor. So that's where we use the knowledge of how to study history of the town. So that's where we actually apply. So another example, subject structure. Yeah, most of architecture students don't like this structure subject because all calculation. Okay, all calculation. But actually, I'm interested in this structure subject because my lecturer during that time is actually have two background. My lecturer that taught me structure is actually he also an engineer. He also graduate architect part 2. So he taught us in architecture language in structure. So we understand. Not to say engineers cannot teach architect, but they must speak the same language as an architect to make it simpler. Okay, where do you apply this? Sometimes when during construction, okay, if we have a bit knowledge of bending moment, okay, so we can ask because when we consultant as we are lead consultant as an architect, so the engineers are all working under our team. So the engineer cannot lie with us. We know a bit about that. So means we know a bit about that because as a lead consultant, we have to know each of the discipline, mechanical, electrical, civil, and structure. Yeah, I think I will take your note. Maybe to edit a bit or add up on the syllabus part. Actually, we did. We already add up like the beam, okay, the GBI, the SDG, but it's in the process to get approval from the LAM and approval from the university. So I will take note on that actually. Right, and the most part to become a student is actually to make us matured student. How to deal with people, how to deal with so many type of lecture. This lecture says A, this lecture says B, another lecture says C, external panel say D. Who should I learn? Who should I hear to? Okay, so that is our client actually. When you work, you have a client, a bungalow client, Dato A, then his wife coming, Datin 3. Then his daughter coming with another requirement. So it's how we handle client. If you can handle your lecturer, I believe you can handle your client afterwards. Okay, all right. Okay, so we have a next question from Daniel. Daniel Chiu.
Okay, so hi, good evening, Mr. Yanis and AR Asli. So my name is Daniel Chu, another Chu here, not related to Eugene, but we study in the same uni at UCSI. So I'm not really asking a question, more of adding on to past few questions, especially from Ahmad, Arif, from Eugene as well, and also what you've been mentioning just now. So I think that we do not have to wait for the academic system to change, to add on subjects and things like that. Whereas what we can do as students, we can do what we feel like. I mean, let's say you want to start a business, you don't have to wait till we are done with part 1 or part 2. So I myself, I'm actually studying my part 2 at UTM now, still ongoing, but I run my own visualization company on the side. So what's my advice is that even back in degree time, what me and Eugene did, we organize workshops for students. So we teach softwares. We started our own t-shirt brands. So things like these small things that the uni does not teach to us, we try to learn by ourselves. So by doing all this, we do learn a lot, like how do we manage the finances, the capital that we need, how to earn money especially. So you do not need to wait until like what you said, part 4 to learn about financials. You can start even during your part 1. So this kind of things, you do not have to wait. Just do it. If you feel like have something, an idea, whatever business model that you have, try it out. If you have the means, go for it. So that saves you a lot of time. You do not have to wait until end of your degree, end of masters, or until you're 30 years old to pursue the career that you think you want. Because after all, you have to try. If you do not try, you will not see whether it's good for you or not. So that's my opinion.
Thank you, Daniel. In my opinion, entrepreneurship is in everyone, whether you have it or you don't. Whether you have the passion to jump into that business, or there's two types of people. Either you have it or you don't. Like what you said, you don't have to wait until you graduate to realize that. If you do, if you feel that you have that sense of entrepreneurship in you, by all means, try it. I'm sure most universities, you're from UTM, I know certain universities have this entrepreneurship program. I know one in MMU, they have EDC, Entrepreneurship Development Corporation, where they give fund to startups for you to start something small, and they would guide you throughout. So as architecture student, I think you can take that opportunity to choose a business and start something based on your technical expertise or your expertise. You guys are creative people. You can design t-shirt. You can do other things. I know someone who do engraves on timber, which is also from which is an architect turns entrepreneur. Explore your passion. If being an entrepreneur is your passion, it is best that you realize it early and explore it. Like what architect Azli said, being a businessman or being an entrepreneur, you don't require paper qualification for it. But to become an architect, you need to have it. So if you realize it early that you want to become a businessman or entrepreneur at a young age, jump into it. Be like Eugene, be like Daniel. Just throw yourself to the business world, but don't neglect your architecture studies, because paper qualification is something that people can't take away from you. It is something that you deserve. It's something that you work for it for 3-4 years, and it is something that people can't take. If your business doesn't work, at least you have paper qualification as an architect, and you can still apply job in architect firm. No one can take that away from you. But at the same time, to support Daniel's passion, yes, explore your sense of entrepreneurship in you. If you have it, you have it. Yeah.
Don't mind me adding on a bit.
Sure.
So I think it is entrepreneurship, right? Let's say if a person does not really have it, what you can do is you can always team up with your friends, whoever you trust them, and maybe they might have a more higher sense of entrepreneurship than you. So as a team, I believe it's very important to have a team with you to run your business, because for me myself, I'm not too much entrepreneurship side. I'm more on the technical side, whereas Eugene himself is more on the entrepreneur side. So that's where we can cover each other's weaknesses, and I believe it's very critical to have a good team with you to run things. Yeah, that's all.
Yep, agreed. So 2 heads better than one. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So that's why in the meantime, when you in your student life, sometimes you filter your friend, which are the one who can talk, which of one of them can do business, can do accounting, which one of them can do technical work. So make a teamwork. So that's why I said, know our strength, enhance the strength. If you is of course 2 heads better than one. And I want to share one keywords. Okay, in bahasa Melayu, jangan ambil kesempatan. Okay, the other words, the actual word is ambil mana yang sempat. Okay. In English, don't take advantage. Take whatever you can during that time. So within this COVID time, pandemic, so there's some opportunity of business that you should take. Okay. So this is the only time that you should take. Dia jangan ambil kesempatan lah, ambil mana yang sempat. So sometimes it's the best time to do that in that situation. Just take it for the time being. Don't wait for others. Like for now in architecture business, if I want to share with you. So after this pandemic, a lot of project is actually coming out. So the architect firm need to be prepared to find and look for a job, and look for a client. By next year, architecture business going to be boom. But if by next year a person just going to start to find a job, it's too late for them. Okay, so this year, okay, this month is actually the best time to seek for a project, to seek for a client, because that project will be launched next year or next 2 years. So take whatever you can. All right. So we have a question from our co-moderator, Krista.
Hi, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi, salam sejahtera and good evening, everyone. All right, I would like to say thank you for everyone being here. I have a question and it may be related to a few questions that was asked previously. However, I will start with sharing my experience as a my fifth year experience in architecture. Let me introduce myself. My name is Crystal and I'm currently a third year student from UCTS, which is in Cebu, Sarawak. Okay, before coming to architecture, I thought architecture was about designing. I thought it was about talking to new people. But then once I stepped into the world, there's just so many things to be surrounded with, like deadlines, the constant contemplating whether can I finish this work or not. But then again, there's this thing we call a benefit of the doubt, right? And then I find it a blessing because of networking. All right. So generally, architecture is known as a career path that exposes you vastly, be it for a student, educator, or even the architect, him or herself. Yeah. So one of where you get to have your networking expanded. Do you think it is encouraged for architectural students to be involved themselves in activities other than being only in studio? What are the benefits if so? Yeah.
Okay, I'll take this one first. Yeah. Thanks, Crystal. Okay. I think it is in line with what Masa is doing, which is to expose students to the industry, which is very important because it is a gap that's lacking. It is, you need, after you graduate and your career, there's a valley of death. You need to catapult yourself there, rather than be demotivated and end up not doing anything and things like that. So I guess it is important for architecture students to be exposed in events and meet people, speak to people, have the confidence to say hi to strangers, because in life, in career, that's what you do. You meet people and you hard sell, you soft sell. You know the approach of selling. You know the art of selling. So I pretty much agree and support Masa's initiative, and hope that more students would be able to participate in your activity in order for them to be exposed to the real world, and more importantly, for them to be prepared in the real world. It's a big bad world out there. We don't
Definitely.
Yeah, so be prepared. It's a dog world. So yes, I hope Masa would have more activities for students to participate and be close to the industry. So thank you, Masa, for agreeing to collaborate with Archidex for second year. I don't know, second, third year. Okay, how you would know better lah. second year, and we hope that this collaboration would prolong. And you guys are the future of the industry. You guys are the next generation of architects. Um, yeah, would love to see you guys one day at events that we have, so that you guys could expose yourself and be part of the industry, be part of the ecosystem. Even if you're not an architect, even you work for even if you're selling building materials, it is still part of the ecosystem. So thank you very much, Masala. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to reply on Crystal. So
Yeah.
it's actually an advantage for a student, okay, to be active in other rather than the class. Example, if now I know you all and you know me. So during my time, so some of my juniors in my school actually become an officer at certain local authority. So I can just say hi, not to say take advantage. Okay, take whatever I can. So I jump queue, not jump queue lah. I just say hi. Okay, then the officer, okay, never mind. We can, Cik Azli, I know him, can come and enter the room. So to do a discussion, not to take, bukanlah bagi rasuah apa, just to do a simple discussion for the submission. Okay, because we know each other. Okay, we meet each other. I meet my junior during this what you call it, Archidex lah. Archidex, Archifest. Then you have this architecture workshop. Okay, you may not know. Some of you here maybe become an officer. Okay, a public officer or developer. Okay, a CEO in developer. So we need each other to make the world better. So don't be be nice to all. Be nice to all. Alright. Yes. Then we have next question from Chin Zin. Is it? I'm correctly
Oh, hi.
pronounce your name, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think I want to share more like my opinions. I think beyond architecture is not supposed to be like you're not interested in architecture and then you just jump out and do something new. For me, like I study diploma, degree, and master. The journey is around 8 years. So the journey is very long, and then as you know that architect we won't retire because we keep on want to do something new. So trying something or to know what is your hobby and things other than architecture, actually it can make you more interested and more passion towards architecture. So like for me, actually I found that like to continue architecture, actually I need to have like how to improve the myself in architecture. I need to think something out of the box. Like I try to do as an experienced host to introduce Malaysia. In the same time, like when the guests they are coming, they're asking question, it sometimes makes me think about like in an architecture way, like how to improve the current city or how to improve the building itself, the space. And also after that, like working some sort like work regarding with bakery, because food is also some sort like related with architecture. So if you do not put it well, the ingredients, the bread might collapse. It seems like architecture as well. The ingredients, the materials will cause the collapse of the building. So this is my opinion, and then I'm quite support with the one Mr. Yohani says. You don't feel regret on what you decide, because we ourselves is the one to decide what we want to do next. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chin. Yeah, beyond architecture is also about it's not just about doing other things than become an architecture, but also to do more than just an architect, right? You can, beyond architecture is about giving back to the society. It can be about, there are 17 SDGs that you can pick from. So I think as an architect, it is a responsible, it's a very it's your responsibility to this is something that I read. Architecture is the foundation of most faith and philosophical thought. Your design creates the behavior of a society. So it is important that when you design, these are the elements that you should have in your consideration. It's not just about designing a building. It's not just about designing a legacy, but it's also about sustaining it and also to shape the future. Yeah, so that topic itself is beyond architecture. Thank you, Chin.
Right, thank you, Cik Yohanis, for that keywords. All right. So then, we have Chia here.
Yeah, hello. First of all, I want to thank you, the committee, for inviting me, and also thank you, moderator, Architect Asli, and Mr. Yohanis. I just want to ask, maybe this one will tie back to Archidex more, because right now we are talking about climate change and all those kind of stuff, and we have this COP26 at Glasgow. So we all know that global carbon emissions, we in the architecture industry contribute 11% to the carbon dioxide emissions globally, and 28% actually come from building operations. So I just want to ask, whether Archidex is doing something to promote environmentally friendly building materials or building operations. Maybe you can just briefly explain to us.
Oh, thank you. Okay, this is not about beyond architecture. This is about architects. Okay, we have, it is in our CSR to ensure that our exhibition is green. It is part of our initiative to ensure that we reduce carbon footprint as much as possible. The tags that we use were recycled, for example, and the structures the carpets. Exhibition industry is one of the main contributor to global waste. That's a fact. So what Archidex is doing is to ensure that we reduce as much waste as possible. We encourage recyclability and reusability of certain things. We even the paint that we use by contractors, it is encouraged for them to use the one that's not hazardous. There's 1 year we have a collaboration with BGBG, which is an initiative of a group of NGO, where all buntings that's printed on tarpaulin were recycled to become bag. So that is one of the things that we have done in the past. And thank you, Chair, for bringing this up. It is something that we will continue to do and be responsible to ensure that, Earth is taken care of. Yes. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's very interesting to know that BGBG was also your partner. I know that social enterprise. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I think thank you everyone. I think the time is already 4:50. I think we have a good session today. A lot of questions. I hope it's answer of your thoughts. Okay, to continue or not in architecture. So just continue and finish it. Okay, don't worry much. All right. So being an architecture student is actually make us more sensitive to our environment and to the human. Okay. So my last keywords: know our strength, enhance and strive our strength. They make it money from it. Because about career, right? All right. So I think that's all for the time being about the question and answer session. All right. So I will pass the closing back to our co-moderator, Crystal.
Thank you so much, Architect Azli. All right, thank you so much everyone for joining us for today's online roundtable. You have made our day with your attendances. We hope you have enjoyed it and gained a lot of information and insights. It is really an eye-opening session and benefits a lot to the next generation. Now, let us thank our speaker, Encik Yohanis, and moderator, Architect Azli. Thank you for giving us this interesting and an opportunity to share your time with us and all the numerous advices that you can provide for our students and the future architects. All right, now we have our next Archidex event tomorrow, 6th of November, which is on Saturday. Note this, it is from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. With the theme of Beyond Tomorrow. We've my apologies. We've invited Mr. Azizul and Architect Mirzam with us together with our moderator, which is Architect Goh Tse Hui. Yeah. Now this shall marks the end of our session today. Thank you everyone for joining us. Hope to see you all in the next section. Do keep in touch with our Master's Instagram and Facebook for the next event and more updates. All right, to check out Archidex online for more awesome events and activities. And also, if you haven't already done it yet, you can also register for PAM membership at www.mypam.org.my. There are a lot of benefits for architecture students that awaits. Until then, have a great day ahead. Stay safe, take care, and we will see you again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Cik Yohanis.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Before we end the session, let's have a photo shoot session.
Thank you for the safe, Lindsay.
Smile, smile, and wave. Okay, I think it's all good now. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you next time.